Oh, video games are the thing I like to play every single day. Oh, you're adding stuff to the dock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm thinking I'm adding stuff to the dock. People keep asking me if I'm adding stuff to the dock. And you know what? Yeah, I think I am adding stuff to the dock.
Keanu Reeves is the best actor of all time.
I love Keanu Reeves. He's so wholesome.
Well, Mark, sadly, when this episode comes out, the showcase will have already happened, and all the stuff that we're talking about now is probably going to be totally irrelevant.
That's great, though. Because that's so great, though. Because we get
that's great, though.
People get to immediately refract on how appallingly wrong we are.
That is fun. It's always good.
Potentially,
it's always good having a laugh, isn't it? When people are stupid. Hey guys, what is your name? My name is Video Games.
Are you alright? Are you okay?
I'm really not alright. I'm really not okay. Oh.
Do you want me to drive up?
Yeah,
okay?
Come here, man. I need some company. Oh. Hey, I'm great. I want to talk about some computer games. I always cringe when people call them computer games. I heard someone refer to them as computer games recently, and it made me really irrationally angry.
Hey, you kids playing those computer games?
Oh, it's horrible. It's like my mum still calls any console I'm playing on a Game Boy, which is kind of sweet. Episode 6 of Pushing Buttons. It's episode 6, isn't it?
It is already. Can you believe it?
We've been doing this for 6 weeks. That's quite freakish, really.
That's quite long. That's it's like a proper thing, set in stone now. This is a show.
Yeah, I don't think we're ever allowed to stop now.
That's how it
momentum.
Works,
yeah. What are we going to cover on today's episode of Pushing Buttons, the video games podcast?
We've got the news, classic. There's quite a lot of it. We'll get onto that. We've got some listener feedback, just a little bit this week.
A tidbit.
Another top 10, which is from a good friend of mine, Luke Watkin, who's also our researcher behind the scenes of the show,
Luke.
who we constantly forget to thank. So
Thanks,
Luke,
Luke,
for doing that, Luke. And he's given me a massive explanation for each one.
So maybe just cut it down slightly, I don't know.
Yeah, I might probably just might not even do it. And of course, the main topic of today is the Xbox Showcase, which, if you're listening, has already happened. But in this past world where we're living right now, it hasn't happened yet. So we're going to be talking about Showcase predictions and just chatting around what we think is going to happen, what we'd like to happen. And then in general, just you're going to laugh at how out of touch and wrong we are.
Yeah, because everything we say will have already been proved right or wrong. I mean, in a lot of ways, we probably should have scheduled this episode for after the showcase, which would have been a really smart thing to do. And I just don't really have an answer as to why we haven't done that. Hey, first things first, though, it was a nice episode last week, wasn't it? We had a good chat with Dan.
Oh, it was lovely to meet Dan. When you originally said, hey, should we get this guy Dan Mayer, I was like, who? And then you said Mr. Pointyhead, and there's a tiny little light that went on in my brain, and even I recognised that game attack.
Yeah.
But to meet him was great. What a guy! What an intelligent, knowledgeable, and super nice gentleman.
Yeah.
Dan Mayer.
He really is. He put us to shame really with his gaming knowledge, and I think we're both pretty good on it. But he is like Encyclopedia Encarta back on Windows 97. You put the disc in, you type in the Vikings, and then a whole page would come up. That's what Dan's like.
I forgot about that.
Remember it?
Ugh, you brought back such a hideous memory.
Has that made you feel a bit nauseous?
Yeah, just a little bit, yeah. Just a little sick.
Sorry, man.
Yeah, he's a bit knowledgeable, isn't he? He knows his stuff.
He really does. And yeah, really, really great guy. And hopefully we get him on somewhere down the line. We're definitely open to having more guests on the show. So like I said before, if there's anyone you guys can think of, but preferably as at this stage from the UK industry or is related to video games in any way, just let us know, would you?
Yeah, get more guests, get some more chat.
So it was a lovely episode, last episode, but this episode, we're going to move on shortly to the news. But first of all, what have you been playing this week, last week, Mark? Tell me about it.
I played a little bit more Resident Evil 2, but put it down to play some co-op Resident Evil 6.
Worst decision you've ever made?
It's bloody awful.
Right.
It's shocking. It's ugh. So we've got through campaign 1, which is Leon Kennedy.
Decent bloke.
And we were like, right, we got through that, which is how we felt. And then we realised we've only done a quarter of this flipping game. We've got 3 more campaigns to do. So we dive straight into Chris Redfield's, and it's somehow worse.
But they're such staple names of the Resident Evil franchise. They're great characters, but they've just murdered them.
Yeah, it's really awful. And also playing Resident Evil 2, where the main protagonist is Leon Kennedy, and then playing Leon in Resident Evil 6, he's such a different character that they've just butchered. Although voiced by the great Matt Mercer, who does a decent job, but doesn't save the car crash that is Resident Evil 6.
Well, I haven't played the super recent, like Resident Evil 7, but never particularly renowned for its excellent dialogue. And Resident Evil 6 is kind of is one of the worst proponents of that.
Yeah, absolutely is. Yeah, it's all over the place in terms of gameplay. The graphics kind of ugly. The music is just this kind of repetitive drone that tries to hype up the action. There's no real horror or suspense. It is just a sloppy action game. Again, the voice acting within itself is fine. The dialogue is ropey. They try and inject tension into places that don't deserve any tension or relationship, and it's just, oh man, we're basically just trying to get through it so we can uninstall and tick it off the Resident Evil list. Truthfully.
It is funny that, isn't it, with games, how you start something and you get past a threshold and just think, well, I'm going to have to finish this now, even though the rest of that gameplay is just painful and totally non-enjoyable. Is that everything you've been playing this week?
That's kind of it, yeah. Not really diving into too many things. I'm keen to go back and listen to Dan to write down all those many games he listed for under £15, because I think I'm gonna have to get some of those into my brain.
Yeah, I've got some stuff on the go on the Xbox, but as soon as I'm done with that, I'm gonna get into, I think it was Sundered he recommended for the Switch, so I'm definitely gonna look into that. I have been playing. I've downloaded a good few games on Xbox Games Pass, and first one I started playing was Dishonored 2, and I probably got 3 levels into that and was just like, you know what? I'm not really into this. So just stopped. Started playing Nier Automata, which is one of the games that Dan recommended.
Oh,
and yeah, I've enjoyed. It's very much sort of a classic Platinum Games hack and slash sort of feel, but it's doing some very, very interesting things in terms of the world and the lore and what's going on, and it seems really, really fun. I haven't played a lot of it. It's very, very Japanese, so I can see why Dan likes it, being an expert of all things Japanese gaming. So I started playing that, which has been fun. And the other one I'm doing, which I think actually is the pick of the games that I've started, is A Plague Tale.
Oh, amazing!
Really good.
Yeah, it's currently on sale. I should probably just get it, to be honest with you. It's like 13 quid or something.
I'm really, really enjoying it. And also, it's just really nice to have those sort of, having completed Hellblade last week, this and that, having those sort of third-person, very narrative-led, but enjoyable gameplay experiences on the Xbox is just something that I thought was only accessible on PlayStation consoles, but actually I've really enjoyed these two experiences and they're on an Xbox. So that has me excited. So yeah, that's kind of what I've been playing. But yeah, Plague Tale is probably the pick of the games that I've been playing.
Oh, great. Yeah, those 3 games in particular that you just mentioned are ones that have been on my sort of to-play list for a very, very long time. I just haven't got around to them. I look forward to playing those. And that's you've given them a big shout.
I'm guessing because Steam isn't a paid subscription service, they don't have... I'm guessing
Aye.
they don't do anything like a monthly or weekly free game. They just do sales.
They just do big sales. There'll be like a weekend sale and then like the big summer, winter, etc. sales. But the Epic store, for some reason, I assume it's to gain traction. They just give out like a game, like 2 games every month. Or
No,
2
and
weeks
that's
or
not
whatever it
a
is.
paid subscription service.
It is not.
Oh. Well, Mark, all of that stuff about the Epic Games Store was news to me. And speaking of news, it's time for the news. News. First up, Mark, it's out. Paper Mario.
Yes, mate. Have you bought it? Are you playing it?
I have done neither of those things because I don't like the look of the gameplay.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I loved the previous. So I had Paper Mario on the Wii. I can't. What was it called? Can't remember. Anyway, it was really good on the Wii, and it was very much a traditional RPG with some turn-based combat, which I really enjoyed. But they seem to have. They've kind of ditched a lot of the RPG elements for this one. The combat is basically about twisting a circle and lining up enemies, a bit like a puzzle more than combat. And I was sort of slightly intrigued by it when I was watching the trailers because it has that quirky sense of comedy and fun that I really like in the Paper Mario games. But I don't know. It was kind of I was left feeling a little bit meh by it. I don't know how you feel.
Well, let me tell you, I also did not buy it or play it for basically the exact same reasons. When it was announced, I was like, oh, sick, Paper Mario. I love Paper Mario. It's so charming and like it's always very clever and I love the graphical style and all the stuff you just said. And then I saw the gameplay and I was like, okay, yeah, the humor's still there. Where are the RPG elements? And then the battle system is some sort of twisty, unlocking a safe mechanism vibe.
Yeah.
And I was just like, no, thank you. And also it's £50. I mean, that's not cheap. And I just thought, I don't want to take a punt on something I don't like the look of. And especially considering right now Nintendo haven't really announced any big uns up and coming. Paper Mario is probably definitely their latest sort of big boy that's out there punching for Nintendo and hopefully bringing in, fans and monies. And there's people like us that are just going, no, I'm good, actually.
And it doesn't seem to be doing incredibly critically. It's sort of averaging around a 7 out of 10, that kind of range, which makes me wonder if Nintendo will think about lowering the price, but they don't tend to do that very often, regardless of regardless of the reception of a game. Because if it was 20 quid, I might consider it because it's, but that's just not going to happen anytime soon.
No.
And it was just the whole, the reveal of it. They just tweeted it out one day. They were like, oh yeah, we're doing a Paper Mario game. It's just like, Nintendo, what are you doing? Anyway, we might mention that again in a second. But there was a weird thing that happened across like social media, wasn't there, recently, Mark?
You're right, there was. Turn back the clock to The Witcher coming out on Netflix. It was Henry Cavill who was cast in Geralt's role, and he did a fantastic job, although we're not going to talk about that. And in an interview, they were talking about, how he was prepared for it. And we all know Henry is a gamer. He plays a lot of World of Warcraft and that sort of thing and has owned pre-built PCs. And during that interview, he was talking about how he loved the Witcher books and he'd read the books and everything. He played the game. And the interviewer said, Xbox or PS4. And he gave him the shirtiest look and said PC, as if to say, you moron, you peasant. To which, of course, the internet loved that reaction. And they went on to talk about how, you're building your own. And he was like, no, I haven't really gotten into that yet. If I find time, I'd love to learn how to do it. Lockdown, he's got loads of time. So, of course, that's what he's gone and done. So he's recorded a video of him muscles flexing, building a PC, a homebrew build all by himself. I can say I've built 4 or 5 PCs and I can say he's done a very good job. So well done, Henry.
I was going to say I've watched the video and I have zero expertise in PC building and PC gaming in general. And what did you think of the PC that he built? I thought it looked quite cool.
Yeah, it looks all right. He's picked a load of premium parts, basically. And
He's got that Witcher money, baby. He's got that Witcher money. Of course he can do it.
yeah, man. And he's got that nice side window. I think he's basically got the same case as me. I think it's the slightly updated one. So he's got good taste. They've got some lights going. He did a good job. He put the cooler upside down, so he had to change that. And it all worked. It booted first try. So good on him. He obviously loves gaming and enjoyed the experience. I'm sure he'll do it again in the future. But the main reaction just seemed to be about how good he looked, and I don't disagree.
Henry Cavill is a fine piece of man, and it's always the way where when you see someone who is of high celebrity status or high profile doing something that is relatable, like being a gamer, people just love that kind of stuff. It's the same with like Brie Larson being massively into Animal Crossing. Everybody's just like, oh my God, they're just like me. So yeah, it's just really nice to see someone big that has a platform like that spreading the word about gaming. And people might think, hey, you know what? This hot guy, he's a nerd, but that's great.
And people calling it like sensual,
yeah,
and sexy. When
it's
he's just building a PC. He wasn't trying to be sensual and sexy, but just because his arms are the width of my neck,
Mark, I'd say they're wider. I would say they're wider than your neck.
Yeah, they are, yeah. And because you give the occasional look to camera, people are just like, oh, sploosh. Going back to the Nintendo subject.
Yeah.
Nintendo Direct.
It was a bite-size Nintendo Direct. Do you remember BBC GCSE Bite Size? That's another one to make you feel slightly nauseous. Anyway, they did a tiny boy Nintendo Direct that was 10 minutes long. What you don't do to a fan base who is quite literally screaming for anything that they can grab onto. I mean, this is probably why they only announced it the night before, so people didn't pull all their hair out trying to get hyped over it. But that still happens in the space of 24 hours. They did this. They did a direct that was 10 minutes long with some very, very weird stuff in it. They announced some. They announced some DLC for what is it called? The movement-based Zelda fighting game.
Oh yeah,
Cadence of Hyrule.
Cadence of Hyrule, yeah.
They announced some DLC for that. They announced some a multiplayer shooter is coming to the Switch that, didn't seem anything worth looking at. And then they announced that the remaster of Shin Megami Tensei 3 is coming to the Switch soon. And then they ended the Direct with a reveal of Shin Megami Tensei 5. None of those.
Lie, I don't know what those are.
Well, it's by Atlas, who make the Persona games, which is kind of really their biggest games. And it's a really well-regarded series, but for most, I would say, Western Switch owners, it's not a huge deal. I'm sweeping generalizations. Speaking on behalf of us. So really, the whole thing was a bit of a damp squib, the dampest of squibs, sopping with water. This squib was.
Do you think it some of that dampness is mopped up by the fact that they did say it was a third-party Nintendo Direct, or does that not help the situation?
No, well, they were clear about it, and they also said this is the first mini one we're doing. We're going to be doing more of them. I think they just need to announce when they're going to have a first-party one, and because there's so many games that we know they're working on, and it would just be nice to know.
Well, I know of two.
What?
Well, Metroid 4.
Yeah.
And Breath of the Wild 2. Are there more that I should know about?
Well, we know
I don't.
We know that there are these Mario remasters coming.
Yes, yeah.
And it would just be nice to have a date just for something, because at the moment, I mean, we're potentially going to talk about this next week or another time, just being a Switch owner and kind of how that is, because I believe it's been out for 3 years now. And as a Switch owner at the moment, I have nothing to be excited for. And I think with two new consoles coming out, and I know there's a lot of people that own both a Switch and a PS5, or a Switch and an Xbox, Switch and a PC, whatever it is. Surely Nintendo are going to be aware that they need to do something to make their console stay relevant. And at the moment, there's nothing that they're doing, Mark, and they're
just so quiet right now, and it's weird.
It is.
They've been so unbelievably quiet, and they keep doing these mini directs and like just announcing trash and just things that like aren't appealing. It's the kind of thing that if they just did one E3 style Direct could be, squished in to, pad it out. If they're really struggling and they genuinely don't have anything to show or say, at least like pad it out with this stuff you're like dribbling at us all.
Yeah.
I don't really understand what their marketing technique is here, because it's just, we're all just waiting for stuff and waiting to hear from them, and then getting these drabs of, you can brush your teeth with the Pokemon, and here's a Japanese game that some of you will like.
Hey, do you like skipping ropes? Yeah, I got a free skipping rope game.
I don't understand their strategy here. They're just pissing people off.
It's just baffling because the first year and a half of the Switch, I think Nintendo had did like the best work they in terms of brand, the brand name, brand loyalty, and just putting the best things out there and the respect they gained. Their first year and a half with the Switch, they were just knocking it out of the park.
Yeah, we also knew a very vague sort of timescale of what was coming. I think they pretty soon after were like, hey, there's going to be a Yoshi game, and there's going to be a Kirby game. So we kind of like, I haven't actually played either of those, admittedly, because I don't think they're very good.
Yeah.
But like, we still like, and there would have been other games as well, but like we still had like a little idea of timescale about what was coming and what to expect. Right now, over the past 6 months, we've just been left in this miasma of just like nothing.
Well, they've kind of said, they've kind of gone,
what's happening?
Here's Animal Crossing. They built up loads of hype for Animal Crossing, which definitely worked for me, and I got the game and I loved it. But it's not enough to just be like, here's Animal Crossing, enjoy, and that's the rest of the year. I mean, we got Xenoblade Chronicles 1 remaster, but who gives a shit? Like,
well, I'm sure there are loads of people that give a shit about that,
I know a lot of people love Chrom. Anyway, we're dining out on this.
No. We've done a big disservice.
What?
Because there was Min Min from ARMS. So by the time you're listening to this, the Xbox showcase would have already happened, and we realised that. So we're going to sound real dumb. Because we're just going to be talking about what's coming out, what's happening, what do we think is going to happen, predictions.
Yes, and
but it's happening on Thursday.
It's happening the Thursday that's just gone. You will have all seen it. We're going to get onto our specific predictions shortly, but the news in this segment is that the showcase is happening, / it will have already happened, so you will have seen it, but nonetheless, it's sort of relevant news.
23rd of July.
23rd of
Xbox
July.
Showcase.
You should be able to, it should be on the Microsoft or the Xbox YouTube channel if you do want to go track it all down. But next episode, we're going to go through the showcase bit by bit, like we did in the first episode for the PS5. Next piece of news.
Sounds great.
It's going to be great, Mark. I'm telling you that. It's going to be the best conference of all time. Overcooked All You Can Eat has just been announced, which is Overcooked 1 and 2 remastered and together in one place, plus all the DLC. If you like Overcooked, you've probably already got both games, so this is totally irrelevant for you. But if you did like Overcooked and you want more people you know to play it, tell them to get this, because it actually is a really good idea. They've updated the graphics and gameplay for Overcooked 1, so it's similar to Overcooked 2. I've played the Overcooked games, Mark, and think they're really fun. I don't know if you have.
I gave one a go, but it was couch co-op, so
it's.
I was just like, nah, thanks. Yeah, I'm good.
You need to be playing it with friends in the room. That's really the best way to play Overcooked, because you can all scream at each other and sever friendships.
Yeah, I've not had the best of Overcooked, so I can't really comment.
Yeah.
The last bit of news is boom, boom, boom. What's Bugsnax? Boom, 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 boom. Well, I don't know what key I'm in.
No, yeah.
You can buy the It Bugsnax 7-inch single by Kira Benito for $11.99, that's in dollars, on a screen printed strawberry vinyl. Yes, you can.
Screen printed.
That's not the bit you're supposed to.
Screen printed.
So if you really like that track by Kira Benito, it is a full song. It's not just a theme tune for Bugsnax.
It's a great tune.
It is a great tune. You can buy it on a 7-inch single for $11.99.
Kind of bug and kind of snack.
Excellent work.
Thank you, mate. Well, that's all of the news. Let's put the news to bed and kiss it on the forehead and say good night, news. Next up, we're going to move over to some little tiny listener emails, Mark.
Yes, we are. We've got a follow-up from, again, my friend Marcus Dello, who says, this is a follow-up to, you asked me what Complete Edition meant when we were talking about Horizon Zero Dawn.
Is it out yet? Is it out yet, or is it in August?
No, it's August.
Sorry, mate.
And I said, well, it's probably the game with all the extra bits, but I couldn't remember the name of the DLC, and he's clarified that for us. And he says Horizon Zero Dawn Complete Edition is the base game plus the Frozen Wilds DLC. So that's what that is.
Next up, we've got a little bit of a review for episode 5 from Lawal. He's sort of adopted this waffle-based reviewing system. He said, great guest and premium grade waffling. 9 out of 10 waffles with sides of debate, insight, and toasted hot takes. I like that. I like toasted hot takes quite a lot. Shorter sliced gaming experiences for the win. Of course, it was last week Lawal emailed in about the sort of debate between longer, huge, expansive gaming experiences and those shorter little morsels of gaming. But yeah, thanks for the lovely review. 9 out of 10 on that ep, Mark. We need to somehow get that final waffle.
Yeah, I was going to say we've gained a waffle, so we're going up.
We're going up.
This episode is going to be a full waffle down on last week. Surely.
Oh no, Mark! Don't sow the seed of disappointment.
Hey, listen. We're going to do again. We're still getting those top 10s in. We've got a couple more in the bank, so we're going to do another one now this week. And as I said earlier, it's by Luke Watkin, who is our researcher in the sky. He's not in the sky, in the background.
Why would he be in the sky?
I don't know. He's just written, "Hey guys, I thought I'd share a list of games which, whilst not a top 10." Why have you sent me this then? A bunch of games I have fond memories with. You're an idiot, Luke.
We've had so many people get in touch promising a top 10, or has it always been Luke? I swear as though there's someone that keeps being like, here's my top 10, and then it isn't.
Yeah. Anyway, here's that jingle.
Do you like to play some games? I do like to play some games. What is your top 10?
Okay, I think so. He's written in no particular order. So here we go. He's already screwed it.
Okay, come on, hit me.
Mass Effect 3.
Oh, why do people keep saying this?
We already heard from Dan that anybody that says 3 is just wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Move on.
Yeah, so he's written, aside from its pretty shocking last 20 to 30 minutes, I do feel this is one of the tighter Mass Effect experiences. Gameplay at its best shows a real depth of character customization. That and its multiplayer was way better than it had any right to be. Fair enough. Like, he is right, the multiplayer is really fun and it didn't deserve a multiplayer, but it was good. Mm-hmm. And the gameplay, yeah, I think this is why you in particular, always pick 2, because it's probably in the middle. It's literally in the middle, but it's in the middle in terms of tightness of gameplay and the story being tight all the way through as well.
It's the most solid on all fronts, basically. It's not necessarily the best at all of the things, but it's the most solid at everything, which I think in a trilogy, you want to pick the one that, feels they're doing the best job.
Agree. Thank you, Steve Wright. Next is Dark Souls 3.
Don't know about that.
The final mainline entry to Dark Souls ends on an absolute bang. The story comes full circle and at long last gets some closure to the world. Combat feels tight, and though the levels aren't quite the tour de force of the first game, they have spectacular detail. On a side note, it was a brave way to make a sequel to Dark Souls and just completely skip the number 2. Miyazaki, you've done it again.
I see what you're saying there. He's making a gag because he didn't like the second one.
Well, it wasn't Miyazaki and it was shit. That's why.
Oh.
He's basically smashed that out of the park. That's exactly how I feel. I love 1. I love 3. 3 probably just pips it.
I need to play the third one, Mark. I haven't played it yet.
Can you get on with it? Crikey, it's good. Fallout New Vegas. Running with the vibe of Fallout 3, this game packs the narrative punch I feel that Fallout 3 had, filled to the brim with interesting characters and fascinating setting. You can't help but get lost in the Mojave. Whether it's chatting philosophy with Caesar in his war tent, exploring your way through the seedy underbelly of the New Vegas Strip, or recovering everyone's favourite sex robot, Fisto, it's a good time all round, and the DLC is great.
Love getting lost in the Mojave.
Yes, it's just the dream, isn't it?
Yeah.
I must admit, so Fallout, out of the Fallouts, 3 is my favourite. New Vegas I came to too late, and it just looked old and aged by the time I got to it, so I didn't appreciate it for what it was.
Oh gosh. Let's hope you don't feel that way about your loved ones when they reach a certain age. They're too old when I got to them. I just didn't appreciate it.
Impossible Creatures. He just says this isn't a good game, but the concept is good fun. Genetically engineer animals to create a customized RTS army. All in a steampunk setting, it's a game with a great concept, but not necessarily great execution. I have fond memories of it, proving that as a 12-year-old, there was no accounting for taste.
I really appreciate when people start an entry with "this isn't a good game," yet somehow it's ended up in their top 10. I appreciate his gumption for doing that, but I just I just can't understand it.
Go look at some screenshots. It's bloody awful.
Yeah, I am as we speak, and it is horrible. I don't understand it.
Next up is Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind. At the time, this was my first taste of major open world game. The graphics have aged like milk, and it plays like a spreadsheet. But if you can get past its pretty blatant flaws, this has a vast amount of depth and world building. It brings back happy memories of exploring and marking what I had explored in the copy of my map which came with the game.
Two things. Something aging like milk is now my favourite thing I've ever heard. That's hilarious. Secondly, open world games should always be packaged with a game map. Why is that stopped? Bring it back.
Agree.
Enough said.
Yeah, again, Morrowind, I did play it, just thought Oblivion was better in every way, but I'm sure like if you can get past how terrible it looks and plays, the stories are probably just as good, if not better. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I've only played Skyrim and I know that's absolutely excellent in every way. So,
Oh, jeez. Oh, God. I'm going to cut that out, I think. Age of Mythology. This was definitely not... Yeah, this was definitely not my first RTS, but this was definitely where I developed the love for the genre. It's wonky and strange, the campaign is delightfully silly with hammy cutscenes which provide such a charm. It also had an extended edition re-release about 5 to 6 years back, ironing out some of the graphical issues and releasing a brand new expansion pack. Well worth playing. Not played it, can't comment.
No, I can't either, I'm afraid. I'm not really huge on the RTS genre, apart from Age of Empires and Civ, really. Do you count SimCity as an RTS?
That's a city building simulator.
Then
So I don't think so.
Then no.
No, not really. It's a sim.
Okay, well, I used to love SimCity, so he should have put that.
Next up is Command and Conquer 3, Tiberium Wars. I've played this, it's great.
Great stuff.
A modernised return of the classic RTS, this felt like they took the classic formula of Command and Conquer and brought it to a brand new shiny age, still keeping the beautiful bad live action cutscenes and bringing a great mixture of squad combat. The battles feel large and super upscaled. Whether it's punching through fanatics with GDI armour or watching the obelisks of light turn said armour to ash, it's a great time all round. Agree. Yeah, it's a great game. It's just really good fun and really well put together. Darkest Dungeon. A slightly brutal turn-based management RPG that is absolutely carried by an incredible atmosphere and the narrative chops of Wayne June. Come for delightfully sinister quips of the ancestor, stay for a dungeon-running RPG where even the best playthrough can slip through your fingers into nothing. Pro tip, don't kill Wilbur.
Can't comment, I haven't played it, sorry, but it sounds great.
So I thought this would be a really good Switch game. And when they released it on Switch, they did so on sale with all the DLCs. So I was like, hell yeah, that sounds great. But it doesn't translate controls-wise very well. And all the writing and the UI is super small.
Yeah.
And it completely put me off the game.
You can't be doing that on the Switch. You just can't.
Yeah, so whilst I really wanted to get into it and enjoy it, I bought it and went, my eyes hurt and I can't see what I'm doing. So...
Gosh.
Didn't bother, but maybe get it on PC.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
Next up, Soul Reaver, Legacy of Kain. Classic third-person action-adventure game, dripping with a dark atmosphere and overly flowery gothic prose. Nosgoth always felt like such a fascinating world. Hack and slash your way through an expansive world. Haven't played it, actually, I don't think. I know that I can remember the
it's
box
quite
art.
It's quite an iconic box, and the character is. I can see him now in my mind. He's not in the room, but I can see him in my mind, and it's a very memorable character. But I never actually played it.
Team Fortress 2 is up next, just a straight-up charming FPS. The granddaddy of the class shooter returning, bringing with it a memorable band of mad mercenaries, a beautiful art style and a great sense of humour. Crave hats, acquire weapons, take points, and pop that sweet Uber charge.
Man, I love that game. Team Fortress 2.
Same.
I can remember just waking up in the morning, going downstairs, getting a bowl of cereal, sitting in my pants and playing that game for a good solid 4 or 5 hours. Who did you play as?
Oh, I'm one of these versatile, play whatever needs playing people. But I suppose I would play a lot of
Jack of all
Soldier
trades.
and Scout.
I was
And Medic.
I was
a
an-
lot of Medic.
I was an engineer boy.
Yeah, excellent game. It's sort of had its heyday, unfortunately. It's still got a player base, but we won't see Team Fortress 3 anytime soon, I don't think. I think it's just going to be left to rot and updated with occasional hats, which is a shame. And then one honourable mention, Duke Nukem 3D. First real game I remember playing as a wee sprog with my dad. You shouldn't have been playing Duke Nukem as a wee sprog.
There's a lot of expletives in there.
So that's just wrong. But what an interesting first game to play in your life. That's great.
Yeah, I watched friends play Duke Nukem before, and have seen it, and I know what it's all about, but just never really played it myself because it just looks a little bit too silly, if you ask me.
What are we talking about today? Let's get on to the main topic of the day.
Main topic of the day. Okay. The main topic of the day, Mark, we mentioned it earlier in the news. Predictions for the Xbox showcase. Mark, what do we think is going to go down this Thursday, or the Thursday that was in the past, if you're listening to this on Saturday or after the date of Saturday, aka 23rd of July? What do we think is going to go down? Do you think it's going to be good first? First question, what do you think it's going to be like?
I'm not expecting some sort of hideous car crash, if that's what you mean.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be an awful time. I think they know how to put a decent show together.
Yeah.
I think really it's whether they're going to keep banging on about how powerful the box is and how much of a PC box it looks like, or whether they're actually going to show us some content.
Well, they've said that it is going to be roughly an hour of just games.
Which, when you think about it, is a long time
Yeah.
to talk about just games. We do it. We manage it.
We manage it, but
But
hey,
they haven't had any games over an entire generation. You could probably fit their exclusives in an hour. So
if they could do an
Yeah.
hour of content that is essentially exactly like this podcast, I think we can both agree that it's going to be a great showing.
yeah,
Yeah, I think they just need to come out, show really exciting stuff. What I really don't want to see is just more of similar games to what we've had this generation and previous generations. I don't want to see 20 minutes. Well, it won't be that long, but I don't want to see loads of Forza Horizon or Forza gameplay. I don't want to see Gears 5 remastered, I don't want to see more of the same. I want to be like, whoa, these are some new things going on here. This is the kind of stuff that's going to draw people along. People who thought that the Xbox One, well, everyone thought this, that the Xbox One wasn't doing anything new and exciting. They were just regurgitating old titles and not enough of them. Having said that, I would like them to bring back Perfect Dark and Fable.
I wonder. Yeah, I was thinking about that. I wonder whether they are going to bring back some things, but it's not going to be like we're bringing it back. It's fresh and new. I wonder. They did the Fable anniversary a few years back, so I wonder if they're just going to be like teasing your balls with Fable, and then actually it's just a complete remake for next gen, and that would freaking suck.
Yeah.
To then not have new content, because they could easily do it with the first 3 Gears games as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that would suck so bad.
Yeah, it
if
would.
they just came out and went, we have no new IPs. We have Halo and this other exclusive. Here's Fable remake, and we just be like, oh no, what are you doing?
No, and I would like to hope that they're smart enough not to do that. They've got these. They've got at least 10 new Xbox Studios companies, which are all making exclusive content for Microsoft consoles, and you'd like to think that they're going to be working on new stuff. I'm not saying that there won't be the odd HD remaster along the way or the regurgitation of stuff, but I think they just need to come out swinging with something new and exciting. So something that I would love to see is Banjo-Kazooie 3. So, like a brand new Banjo-Kazooie game that whoever is making it, whether it is Rare themselves, obviously that would be brilliant, but I would love to see a third installment in the Banjo-Kazooie world. That would be great.
But Rare is such a different team now, especially under Xbox. It's not going to be anything like Banjo-Kazooie and Tooie. they slightly murdered it with nuts and bolts.
Oh
didn't
yeah,
they,
well
which was
that's what
pretty
I'm
shocking.
saying. That's what I'm saying. I mean, it might not even be rare because I know they're working on. I can't remember the name of it. Another game that involves animals out in the wild. But it would be nice.
Connectimals?
Oh God, Xbox is a joke, isn't it? I would,
Yeah.
I would love to see something like some family friendly games to bring a new audience back over to the Xbox would be great. We just don't need to see more Forza and Gears. A new Fable would be absolutely great. I would, very much in the spirit of the first and second one. I would love to see that.
Yeah, I mean, I think we have to prepare ourselves that there's going to be a video montage of Forza and some football.
Yeah.
And that's kind of fine if it's not taking up any longer than two minutes and they don't go ham into it and start going, right, we're spreading for time here. Look at the graphics of Forza. We've got these new grasses that are really, or whatever. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That'd be an absolute waste. Look at the way the gravel moves under the tire. You're going to see stones in your tire getting stuck in there. How much time do we need to fill? How much time do we need? That would be like, ugh, guys, come on. But yeah, I mean, if they did, like I said in a previous ep, Fable 2 and 3 kind of killed Fable off. But if they brought it back fresh, and that'd be something that would definitely draw me in. I'd be interested and take a look. Some new IPs, definitely. If they truly are working on some great stuff, I'd like to see it.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with a HD remaster. There's nothing wrong with a remake. But this has got to be more. They've got to have more to offer than a complete remake of something or a remaster and new Forza and Halo Infinite.
Yeah.
I definitely do not think they can be hanging on to Halo Infinite for dear life. It could be the best game in the world. It's not going to save them.
I don't think it'll save them, but if it at least restores some faith in the Halo franchise, which I do believe to be a system seller, I do think that if a 10 out of 10 Halo game comes out that really reinvigorates like the multiplayer gaming sphere, I do think that is a huge thing. It's just whether or not that is big enough to convince PS4 owners to make the leap across, which I don't really, like you said, I don't really know if it will. There's some rumors, obviously because it's called Halo Infinite, there's rumors that it might be open world. I kind of hope it won't be, because I think there's a bit of open world fatigue going on, just because over the last 5 to 10 years, that's all of the big franchises have been going that way. And I just feel like a really, really well done linear first-person shooter campaign would be enough with an incredible game-changing multiplayer. I mean, yeah, I'd be up for them doing some crazy stuff with the multiplayer, but just a really good. Everyone loves the Master Chief. He's an iconic character. Like if we just want more of him, we want more great story. I mean, they'll probably find a way to bring Cortana back from the dead, all this kind of stuff. An incredible Halo game in the launch lineup of a new console is only a good thing, but I did like you're saying, I don't think it is enough. I think they need to have a really. I mean, what they seem to be saying is it's going to be an incredibly diverse lineup of games in their launch lineup, and that sounds exciting, but it doesn't really mean anything at this stage. This is. I just keep remembering how funny all this chat is because it's already happened for all the listeners. So they're all going to be listening to this, being like, "You flipping idiots! It was crap."
Do you think it's going to be a load of? I mean, would it be a bad thing if a lot of it is indies and a lot of it are actually just really small IPs, like small games?
I don't think that would be a bad thing at all, because if they're games that are the caliber of some of these hugely successful indie games, like, let's think about this, like the makers of Inside or
Hellblade.
Well, yes, we know we're getting Hellblade 2, and that's not technically indie anymore because they're now owned by Microsoft. But but the word indie these days kind of has a different meaning. It's more of a kind of a smaller, quirky feeling game. And even if it's owned by a big studio, it's more about the kind of ethos and feeling of the game. It's a smaller team, that kind of thing. And I do think if they have some totally game-changing, like if they did, for instance, have a game like Untitled Goose Game that everyone is like, whoa, this is doing some crazy things, really fun ideas, that
Are
does mean a
these
lot.
system sellers, though, is my
No,
point, I think.
again, maybe not. But if it is a really, really varied launch lineup that looks good across the board, which is very difficult to do for a launch lineup because launch lineups are normally fairly pants.
Yeah, they are.
And
Truthfully.
yeah, so it's always going to be an uphill battle. I think all they need to do is be able to step up to what PS5 did in their launch event, well, their kind of reveal event, and stand up against it and say, yeah, we've got really, really good games that people want to play too. But it's just going to be so hard for them because they not only have to do that, but go on further to convince people to come to the greener side of life from the blue. So yeah,
This is why I mentioned earlier that I know they've said it's going to be an hour of just games, and maybe that is the right thing to do, assuming they have new IPs and they have great things lined up. But even if they only had a smaller selection, I think they should deviate from what Sony did and actually go, hey, we're going to show you the controller and we're going to show you the UI. We're going to show you it booting up and what that looks like. Like, try and get people interested, because they keep banging on about here's what it looks like. It's super powerful. Welcome to 4K and like for real and all this sort of thing, and 400 FPS and jet engines on the side. It's like, yeah, okay, cheese it on all that. But like, it'd be great if we could just be like, boom, here's the controller, show us that, just kind of deviate a little bit and then actually boot into Halo Infinite or something. And that would be like, ooh, okay, now we're kind of seeing how it's going to run, what it looks like. They've really tidied everything up, and we get a little glimpse into the user experience, just to kind of have a little peek behind the curtain about what it is people are buying. That would be different to what PS5 have done.
yeah,
And we know that PS4 and PS3 had a similar UI with the sort of scrolling thing that was neat enough. It was fine. It wasn't very interesting, but it works and you could get around it.
It was functional, wasn't it?
It was functional. So we can kind of assume that they're probably going to continue that kind of ecosystem in the way that their UI works. But with Xbox, it's been a flipping travesty. It's disgusting. So I wonder whether, because it'd be another draw, especially for, like you were saying earlier, how do you get people that are in the PlayStation camp to want to even consider crossing over? And I think that would be a great thing to do. Games are one thing, but I think just having a peek into what it is you would be purchasing, how you would feel using it, would just give you that little tickle to think, this actually looks really great. This looks really professional, easy to use, user-friendly, controller looks comfortable, especially if you've used the Xbox One or the 360 controller, you kind of know how that's going to play. I just think it'd be a little...
Yeah, it's a really interesting
way
point.
in.
It's a really interesting point, because what I expect and what I think will happen is that it will just be game trailer, gameplay, game trailer, gameplay, back to back, and it'll say at the start,
I agree, that's what it'll be. Yeah.
Exclusive, or it'll be like world premiere and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
that's what it will be. But how awesome would it be if everything that you see is loaded up within the Xbox UI, or at least you even just seeing things like in-game menus where they're like pausing and going out to another thing and showing how fast the loading times are. Those kind of things that they're selling the console on are things that we haven't seen yet on either side. Like, yes, on PS5 we got like a good chunk of gameplay for Ratchet and Clank, and that was in-engine gameplay, so that was great to see. But to kind of have the balls to be like, okay, here's us booting up this game. This is real. Like, watch it. Look how quick this load time is. Brilliant. Okay, we've done this mission on single player. We're going to jump into multiplayer, and it's like instant. That would be awesome. But does it make for a very clean, slick showcase?
Well, I'm not saying do it on everything, but make a point of it and like do it and show it off a little bit in a clean way. It's just a way of deviating from what Sony did. If we just compete games and exclusives for a blow-by-blow, it's a disaster for Xbox. So unless they truly have some good lineups and things coming in, and it's not just Halo Infinite and a peek at Forza, then it's a difficult thing to sell, and mano a mano.
Yeah, I hear you, man.
And also, just going back to another point, so you mentioned like bringing people over, from the PS5 camp. I mean, I don't really have a horse in this race. I watch it with interest, but I kind of don't really give a poop. I could be convinced either way. It's one of those things where I didn't join the current gen because I didn't need to from a game standpoint. I've got plenty of games to play on the Switch, got plenty of games to play on PC. Sure, I've missed out on some, and you've said this yourself, we've both missed out on some great PS4 exclusives and games that we'd both love to play, genuinely we would. But I didn't feel the need to buy one. I never really wanted a PS4 that much. I didn't like the controller anyway. So to convince people over, I mean, on the other hand, there are other people that are Xbox One owners that are going to be potentially convinced or otherwise to go to PS5. I mean, how do you feel about that for yourself? You know, as a self-professed Microsoft fanboy, like, would you even consider it? Because like last week or the week before, you're saying how, well, I don't really know how that's going to look. And then you played Hellblade, and it was announced that Hellblade 2 was going to be on Xbox One, and immediately you're like, well, that's it, I've got to get an Xbox One. So it seems like anything could tip the scale as long as you stick with Xbox.
Yeah.
So the other way around, what's actually going to pull you the other way? How badly does this Xbox X thing have to go for you to go, you know what, I hate to say it, but I'm going to do it, I'm buying a PS5?
Yeah, and it's as simple as that. It's on a knife edge, really, in terms of, if I watch this showcase and I'm not convinced by Halo Infinite and the rest of the games, just to kind of like, yeah, those don't really speak to me. I know from what Sony have done on the PS4 that they are going to deliver amazing first-party narrative experiences, which is something that I, having played Hellblade and Plague's Tale and games in the past, I love those kind of games. I'm a sucker for a really good story as well as great gameplay. And if I watch this Xbox showcase and I'm not that convinced by any of the games, and especially not getting those things from it, I know I can get them on the PS5. So yes, it really is a hugely important showcase from that point of view for me. There are other things that come into play, like, oh, my friend's going to have that console. If I know everyone's getting a PS5, just because, for example, on this generation, playing things like Destiny, I think I would still be playing Destiny 2 to this day if I had a squad of players that I wanted to do raids, I wanted to go on firefight. It's not called firefight, sorry, the like PvP. All of these things, I would think I'd still be playing that.
We'd play it a lot.
We'd play it a lot. Exactly. Like, I love that game. But the sad fact is, I had no one to play it with. So all I could do is the single player. So I really want to make a concerted effort to make sure that the console I buy, I know other people are going to get it. So it's probably going to be a case of, they need to convince me, and then I'll need to convince my friends to. But the thing is, it's going to take less convincing to get the PS5 at this stage.
Yeah, true. Do you think fanboyism can blind you in terms of your decision making? Because you're locked into an ecosystem. I'm not just talking about you, by the way. I'm anybody. But like
I'm a good example.
You're locked into an ecosystem in terms of your gamer tag and your games and your library. But you're also locked into that idealism of what it is they want to provide and achieve. And you like the logo or whatever it is that kind of draws a person to things.
I mean, I think I'd be hugely naive to say that the fanboyism doesn't play a huge part. And there will be people who be like, no, I'm not. I don't have any allegiances. But it's a lie. Like, I mean, I've never had a huge connection to PlayStation. I didn't really get into the PS1. I had the PS2, but it kept breaking on me. I was kind of done with PlayStation. But obviously in recent years, I've been looking over and thinking that what they're doing in terms of games is absolutely amazing. Like, I personally, I love the vibe of Xbox. Just things like, silly things like the colors, the black and green. There's things that I like going on there, but I have huge affinities to the Master Chief and Halo. I love what they're doing with Game Pass. I think that is enough to make. So if I know that, and knowing that all the games I already own, knowing that my legacy of my gamer tag, I'm going to be carrying all of that forward. Like, that is a big deal to me. But I wouldn't say it's enough to make the decision for me.
Okay, sure.
I mean, if I'm honest, I am going into this showcase ready to be convinced to get an Xbox Series X somewhere down the line. They would probably have to do they'd have to do a lot to make me think that it's a very bad idea to get an Xbox, because at this stage, with everything they're saying about cross-play and smart delivery and all of these things, they're saying all of the right stuff that's making me think it's going to be such an easy transition.
I mean, just from the outside, I totally agree with all that. I think if I was an Xbox One owner, and not a PC gamer, I do understand that. I have a lot of sympathy for that, and can completely understand that what they're saying is kind of really would push me as well into that. Okay, cool, I can keep everything, and it's all carrying forward, and the delivery system and the streaming services. Like I totally get it. Yeah. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, no, it just they're really setting it up to knock it out of the park with this showcase if they get the games right. But all of the things around it don't really matter if the games aren't there. But if the games are there, then I think it is going to be a no-brainer for me. So it's just it's so much hinges on it, man. It's going to be really, really interesting. I mean, we're talking now. It's already happened for anyone that's listening. So you know better than us right now. But like I said, next week, once we have seen the showcase, we'll break it apart piece by piece. Piece by piece, and we'll see.
Piece by piece.
We'll see what they did, and hopefully they. It's just good for the industry as well to be having good competition, because it makes Sony better. It makes both parties better and work harder.
Absolutely right.
Nintendo are off pissing in a corner doing their own thing. Who knows what they're up to? But it is better. It's better for the state of the industry if everyone is doing their best.
I mean, the thing with Nintendo is they did drift when they made the Wii. And they did an excellent job of kind of going, you know what, we're not competing on graphics. We're not competing on this, that, and the other. We're making stuff that's accessible and fun. The Wii was absolutely chock full of bloatware and like crap, awful third-party stuff. But within all that chaff was a hell of a lot of fun wheat to make, with which to bake a lot of bread.
Yeah. A Super Mario Galaxy cake.
And it's kind of the same with the Switch. They're not really competing. They've gone into a completely different handheld sort of hybrid market thing that they're doing. But you are right. Right now, it looks like they're pissing into the wind. They've gone completely quiet. So God knows what they're doing.
Yeah, exactly. You like to think it's because Nintendo are smart. They're sitting on something really big, but for all we know, it could be zero, and they've just got nothing to play with. Like you don't know either way. So in a way, it's smart because you can't second guess what they're up to. But like, it's also incredibly frustrating.
I think they're screwing it.
Do you think?
I think they're screwing it. Well, they're teasing and just trying to drop out these little mini directs with the Pokemon thing and the weird third party thing, just to kind of like make it look like they're busy and
shut
these
people
are the mini
up.
ones. These are the mini ones for the big ones. You better be ready because these are just the mini ones.
That's the thing. They're not even saying you better be ready because they're not even.
Yeah, no.
Who knows?
It's nuts.
They've also kind of said that, directs aren't really going to be the future of how we announce things. We probably might ditch the idea of doing Nintendo Directs at some point. And it's kind of like, okay, you're saying that, so what else? If you're not going to do Directs, what is it then? Because at the moment it's zero. It's nothing. We've got nothing to look forward to.
We know three things of which they're working on: the Mario Collection stuff, Metroid Prime 4, which I don't have a particular interest in anyway, and
Breath of the Wild 2. And those, so Metroid Prime had a complete restart. We were completely off topic, it doesn't matter. That's all right.
It had a complete restart in production, so they probably have nothing to show. Breath of the Wild 2, again, probably have nothing to show.
There was a recent leak that apparently voice actors for the game have finished their work on Breath of the Wild 2, which makes you think that it's actually closer than we think.
Excellent. They can show us audio. So, yeah, I mean, they don't care about Star Fox. They don't care about F-Zero. They've continually showed us this over 2 generations. So, like, I genuinely don't think they're sitting on anything.
No. Yeah, I mean, they've already released an entry in all of their tentpole franchises, haven't they? If you think about it, there's been a big Zelda, there's been a big Mario, there's been Mario Kart, there's been Smash Bros, there's been Animal Crossing.
Kirby,
I guess they haven't. I guess they've forgotten about Pikmin, but who gives a shit? What else haven't they?
Yeah,
I mean,
they don't care about that either.
No, they've done Donkey Kong, even though it's a remake. Like they've released all these big games, and from everything you can see,
we don't have a fresh fresh Switch era Donkey Kong.
No,
we don't have a fresh Switch era Mario Kart.
No, we don't. The thing about Nintendo is that their core mascots or characters really are what drives the consoles and the player base, and really all we can do is wait for another mainline Mario game. Every time Nintendo has tried to kickstart a new IP in recent years, it's just sort of flopped. Like Splatoon, I suppose, has a fairly dedicated player base. ARMS
Not so much.
Not so much. Like, they've tried, but all we can do is just, like I said, just wait. And I am extremely excited for Breath of the Wild 2. I loved the first one, but it's not enough for me to just sit here and wait for that. So I want something from you, from Nintendo. I want something.
Yeah, same. Should we just wrap up with maybe a couple of predictions, just really concise predictions? However many you think you can stomach.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That sounds nice.
Shall I start?
You go for it.
Okay. Well, I am gonna predict a couple of things. They're probably a little on the weak side because I genuinely just don't know. I'm gonna actually go ahead and predict that they will sneak in a shot of the UI somehow.
Okay.
I don't think they're going to show it off. What I think they're going to do is they're going to have Xbox logo, and then we're going to see a screen, and we're all going to go, hang on, this is the Xbox, and it's going to go, and we're going to see a game open or something, and that'll just be like a little nugget, a little.
That would be really nice.
So that's my first prediction. Is actually they're going to sneak it in there, and it's going to be a little nugget. Second prediction, Fable. I don't know whether it's going to be a complete remake or whether it's going to be a new game, but Fable is somehow going to make a comeback. Because it was a much-loved series, and there's no, apart from the fact Peter Molyneux did try to kill it twice.
As is his want.
There's no reason why it couldn't come back. So, Fable, I do think there's going to be overglorious shots of Sport and Forza.
It's hype,
to
man.
fill time.
Going to be some hype.
Yeah, man. I reckon that's going to be time filler. Obviously, Halo Infinite. So I'm trying to think of something. Obviously, I can't predict a new IP because I don't know what form that would take at all. So in terms of returning franchises, Halo, Fable, I don't think we'll see Gears. I think we will see some Forza as well. But I think that's probably my sort of 3 little predictions.
Okay. I think something they need to do is something unexpected, and I think that will come in the form of something that you probably wouldn't expect to see on an Xbox stage. So something like the reveal for the next Final Fantasy game, whether that be Final Fantasy 16 or something, or they announce that the Final Fantasy remakes are going to come to Xbox. I think there's a good chance of that. I think there's a good chance that something Mass Effect, probably the HD remaster, could be shown here, just because it was originally Xbox exclusive, Mass Effect 1.
That's not exclusives, do you think?
No.
They're worried about that?
Well,
just gonna show stuff.
But I think it's another reason for people to be like, oh, Xbox, they showed that.
Oh, I'll stick around.
Yeah. I think they'll sneak in a few unexpected things like that. There might be a next installment in the Tomb Raider franchise, because I know obviously, again, that's not exclusive, but they tend to get timed exclusives on those games, so they have it exclusive to them for a little bit, that kind of thing. But yeah, other than those kind of next installations, I agree with you that, I mean, everybody knows that something to do with Fable is happening. I just really hope they don't try and do something too mad with it. I hope they don't. Yeah. Do you remember they had this game called Fable Legends that they were working on that was like...
it didn't happen.
Yeah, an asymmetrical multiplayer game where one person is... I just don't want them to do anything like that. I want them to do a funny RPG with great English voiceover that is Fable, but done right. That's all I want. And it's pretty much just Fable 1 again.
It'd be a big draw for me,
yeah.
I'd love to see a complete refresh, completely new game, new story, new world. Just make it really colourful and magical.
Yes.
And like you say, English, lots of English stupid voice acting. And
that's it.
Our mate, look over there, we're going to get, and all that sort of thing or whatever.
I mean, it'd be hilarious if they dug up Peter Molyneux and he came out on stage and was like,
oh dear.
Ladies and gentlemen, Fable is back. And he ended up promising everything. And just that would be hilarious. But yeah, I want to be surprised. I think the things that will definitely happen are Halo Infinite, Fable, and lots of Forza and sports things, like you said. But that UI reveal would be, I think that's quite a Sony move, is the only thing I would say, is that's not the kind of...
That's why they need to do it.
Yeah, well, exactly.
That's why they need
That's
to do
the kind
something
of
like
thing that Xbox tend to not do, because they are all about just the back-to-back trailer. Then end of trailer, then Xbox like something that's way too overly slick and all about the hype. That's what Xbox tend to do, and I would just love them to break from that slightly and do it a little bit more. Just break from that and ease up a little bit and be a bit more relaxed and confident about it.
I'm going to make a side prediction that's a joke prediction.
Yeah.
I think it's going to start off with really melancholy piano. Ding, 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 ding. Ding, 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 ding. Ding, 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 ding. It's going to start like that.
That was
right?
Jurassic Park.
No, it wasn't. And then strings, and then it's going to be like black, like white text coming in on black, and it's going to say "This generation." We're so sorry. All this sort of thing.
Yeah.
We got it wrong. And all this kind of thing. And then show pictures of the Xbox One turning to ash like Spider-Man in Endgame, things like that. And just lots of apologetic, this was terrible. And then and then ramp it up and go mental. That's what. I don't think they'll do that.
I mean, it would be great for them to take. I mean, they've
take the mick out of themselves.
Take the mick out of themselves a little bit. They tend to take themselves quite seriously. So yeah, that would be great to see them own up for their past mistakes a little bit more. But I doubt that. So that's kind of what we think will have happened in the Xbox showcase. We'll be going through it next week and everything that happened. We're both looking forward to watching it. It should be a good laugh. But that's sort of everything we've got this week. We've got 2 days until the Xbox showcase, Mark. What are you going to fill that time with?
I'm going to fill it with editing this. And you know what? I'm going to try and get through Resident Evil 6.
Yeah, well, Godspeed, my friend. I'm going to have some fish and chips tonight and I'm well excited.
Oh, mate, that sounds great. Yeah, next week we'll be talking about the Xbox reveal and we're looking forward to it. So we'll be following up on how wrong we were this week, and that'll be fun as well. But we'll also go into detail about what we thought.
Yeah.
But please email in your thoughts. What did you think of the Xbox Series X reveal game montage, whatever they're going to call it? Please email in at pushingbuttons@gmail.com. We want to hear your thoughts and get involved in the chat.
Let us know your favourite games, your favourite reveals that they had in there, what you think of Halo Infinite and all of that stuff. Please do let us know. And if you don't want to get in touch via the email, feel free to tweet us, talk to us on Facebook, on Instagram, what have you. Our podcast is available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. We are pushing buttons, aren't we, Mark?
That's correct. We're still pushing buttons.
Beep pop, beep pop, beep pop. Rappity pop, rappity pop. Thank you for listening. We love you. Cheers, guys. PB out.
Bye-bye.
What's going to be our fun outro music this week?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know what's relevant. Fable music. We chatted a lot about Fable. Or it could just be
some Fable music. Yeah, some Halo vibes. Or if you can find some kind of oh my god. If you can find some kind of fun Xbox parody music, something taking the piss out of Xbox, that could be fun.
Cool.